everyone. Welcome back to RTS and welcome back to our monthly celebrations YouTube hop. And so in this hop, we get together with a group of gals and we scrapbook about something that or someone we're celebrating during that month. And of course, this is December. A lot of us will probably be celebrating Christmas, and I'm going to be celebrating Rudolph. Yes, Rudolph. And I have a little tidbit to share about Rudolph that you may or may not know, so we'll talk about that. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to be playing with my Kit Krunch Kit that I built, and I showed in a video last week, so hit the show more button and you will see that Kit Krunch video along with all the gals that are in this YouTube hop. And I do want to take a minute to thank Nicole and Grace for inviting me along for that YouTube hop for 2019. I really enjoyed playing with all of that and then doing it in conjunction with my Kit Krunch. Very, very fun. It's exciting to sit and scrapbook and celebrate the month that you're in. Sometimes we kind of can't do that, but it's always nice to do that. So we're going to be talking about Rudolph, and I have my Kit Krunch here to the left. I have all my embellishments and some 8.5 by 11. I have them in just a little bin I found in a kitchen store. And I do my kits a little bit different because it depends on how long I'm playing with the kit. This kit will not be out for very long, so I just have it organized in a very quick manner, which is just simply a bin, and my paper is sitting here to my left, and I just have this sitting on top of my paper. That's how I have my kit organized, because I'm only going to be doing a couple pages from this kit, and I probably will be just putting it away because the holidays are coming. And you need to have time for the holidays. You really do. You have to have time to celebrate family and friends. You just have to take the time to do that because it only happens once a year. Absolutely. So what we're going to be doing in this start to finish is that we're also going to be playing with an 8.5 by 11 page, and then how I would take that to a 12 by 12 format, which is what I scrapbook. So I wanted to do something special for some of my special subscribers that scrap 8.5 by 11. So we're going to just kind of build this page together, and then I'll come back and show you the finished result. So let's get cracking. Yes, so I have two photos, and of course, what's the conundrum? Right off the bat, 4x6, 4x6, vertical, and landscape. That's a pickle. So this is why 8.5 by 11 format is great for this type of conundrum when you have two photos and two different orientation. So we're just going to start building a page because I've kind of pre-planned some of this. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to have the measurements, and I will probably list those below so that you would have them, because 8.5 by 11 sketches aren't as popular as 12 by 12 sketches. So we're just going to get right to playing. Absolutely. So definitely make sure you subscribe to all the girls in the monthly celebrations YouTube hop. They will be continuing with that in 2020, so that's good to hear. Okay, so let's start with our 8.5 by 11. And you can see that I have my kit starter, which was those Simple Stories die cuts. I have them here to the left. And then I also have that wood veneer by Jelly Bean Soup, which was part of my entire Kit Krunch kit. And so I'm going to be playing with those and a little bit of other things. And yeah, we're just going to get busy playing. So to start with this 8.5 by 11 page, of course, what do I have? An 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And then along with that, I wanted to say that with my Kit Krunch, I went ahead and pulled out my tools, because as I was building that kit, remember I said, you know, you can't really put tools in a kit if you're bagging it up, but I pulled out my Martha Stewart little birch leaf, I think that's what it's called, or a pine branch. How's that? And then my Martha Stewart mega snowflake punch, and then one of my very first seasonal punches. I think this is by EK Success Snowflake Punch. So I have those. We're going to be playing with a couple of those, I think. I love this. I love this for any time of the year. I think that's definitely, well, nowadays that would be considered farmhouse, but to me this is country. I use it all year long. And so we're going to start with an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. What we're going to do, instead of doing it in the normal 8.5 by 11, what we're going to do is we're going to turn it into the orientation of landscape, so it's really 11 by 8.5. That's what we're going to do. And so pretend that this is our 8.5 by 11 page, and we're going to build from this. But then what I'm going to do is convert it to 12 by 12, because that's my style. So the first thing we're going to do is I have my two photos, and so since I'm using the screen plaid, you can see that my photos are already getting lost because of the plaid design. And then in my photos I have this design that these reindeer were absolutely in, and isn't this amazing? These are photos that my little girl took from her little hometown Christmas celebration they recently had. And I was just enamored that they had reindeer, and yeah, I was just so excited. I was so excited for her. I'm just really tickled she lives in a great town. And so what you're going to have to do then, since I want my photos to stand out, is that I made myself a white cardstock base and I trimmed this down. So this would be 7 3/4 by 10 1/4. So basically I just took 3/4 of an inch off. And the reason I did that is because I do want my photos to show just like that. So you see now how my photos really pop, because they are at nighttime. They are kind of dark. And if you have photos that have a lot of color or photos that don't have any color, like at nighttime, it's good to put them on white because then they pop. Now, right off the bat, let's just talk about something. The plaid is cream based, but this cardstock is completely naked white. Yes, naked white. And I don't even consider that something that I have to worry about anymore. I put it all together, so I wanted to show that. So again, that measurement will be listed below. It's 7 3/4 by 10 1/4. So basically that 8.5 by 11, and that's what it started out as, an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. I just trimmed it down, and so it gave me a mat. Now, you could totally gut that. The green plaid, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to build on this. I'm going to need that stability. So then now what we're going to do is we're going to do some color blocking, because I've been inspired by the scrap paper pages, a little mini series. That playlist will be linked below. So I'm going to play with some color blocking, and so I have this red plaid, and of course this is going to be a 6 by 3.5, so 6 inches by 3.5. So we're just doing some simple color blocking, and we're going to accommodate it for this 8.5 by 11 page. And so then the next thing I'm going to do is have another little cream music notes, and I'm going to put that right there, and that is 4 by 1.5. So 4 by 1.5, and so that is really my page. That is my page right there. So I took my photos in that crazy format that we have, and I did some color blocking, and then I put it on a mat, and then I put it on 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So then you can definitely let this be your page size, and you could put your title here and on your journaling here and an embellishment, and you could even put one down here. I have some space in this photo that's really just concrete or blacktop, and so you could put an embellishment there, and that would be your page. Easy peasy. Now, back in the day, we used to scrapbook in this size, and it's hard to believe that we actually did scrapbook in this size, because you were limited to the size of photos. But remember, back in the day when we did 8.5 by 11 layouts, such as this, we didn't have 4 by 6 photos. They were 3.5 by 4. So that's why it didn't look so overwhelming. So now how will I accommodate this for my size, which is a 12 by 12, is that I'm simply going to take this 8.5 by 11 layout, and I'm going to put it on a 12 by 12 piece of paper. And of course, what am I going to use? I'm going to use Kringle & Company. This is from American Crafts 2012, and it's called Santa's Executive Office. Now, is this not perfect? Because we're talking about Rudolph, and of course, he works for Santa Claus. So that is how I'm simply going to take that 8.5 by 11 layout, and I'm plopping it right on that 12 by 12. And so what makes this easy is because this is already has a treatment on the corners. It's already rounded corners, and then it looks like I already have an outside mat. So it just really went well with my mood and feel of Santa Claus. And right even there, it says has a reindeer, and it even says North Pole Flight Team Captain, and it lists all of the reindeer. Now, can you list all 9 reindeer? I can't. There's no way. No, I can't. So this was just perfect. And so, of course, when I built that kit, I had no idea that I was going to be doing a layout about Rudolph. So this was just perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start playing, and then, of course, I will come back and I would adhere everything down, and we'll talk a little bit more. So where would I start next? Well, what I could do is think about my title, which is what I did. And my title is going to be Rudolph ... Is that you? Because You know, when my little one sent me that photo, that's when we said Rudolph, Rudolph. Anyways, okay, too fun. So the title is going to be Rudolph, Is That You? But if you notice in my Kit Krunch Kit video last week, I didn't have a single alpha in there. And sometimes I will do that when I build a kit, and I do it for one reason. So that I will get off my tough and I will make my own title. And so, of course, that's what I did. I pulled out my catalog binder and I went to my dies, and I will tell you the only reason that I'm doing this is because I did not put alphas in that kit. Because sometimes you get into a rut. You're always reaching for enamel dots. You're always reaching for thickers. You're always reaching for mist and sprays. You're always reaching for, you fill in the blank. And so sometimes I have to break myself of that rut. And so not putting alphas in that kit, I knew when I sat down to scrapbook with, I knew when I went to use this kit this week, I was going to have to make a title. And so I did that so I would make a title. So I would look at my dies and I would sit here and pick a die for my title. So I just went through and I looked for, excuse me, and I could have went the easy way and just picked one of these that's in a word. But I absolutely went to one of my alpha dies, because if I don't make myself do this, I won't. And so I just went through, and I think I ended up picking out, I don't have a lot of alpha dies, but the ones I have are versatile. And so I picked this one right here. I thought that was a little playful, a little whimsical. I could see the word Rudolph in this font. And this is an Echo Park die. I will, when I come back, I will tell you exactly what that is. So I just went to my dies, pulled out a number 61 in my Avriel pocket. And so that is what I did. I just went and I pulled this die. Now, what's the beauty of this die is this very reason right here. These are all connected. And I will tell you, when I buy metal alpha dies, this is something I look for now, is that I like it when it is all one die. So when I did the word Rudolph, I only had to do one pass, and it just was that size of paper, and then I got all my letters. And of course, Rudolph didn't have any repeating letters, so that was easy. So again, I will talk about that die when we come back. So I do have my title somewhere. Where do I have it? I have the word Rudolph somewhere. It is somewhere. What did I do with it? Goodness gravy, I'm going to have to come back already. I'm already missing my title. Well, hang on. I wonder if Rudolph carried it away. Hold on, I'll be right back. All right, I found it. I just didn't pick it up. I had it over there with my cutting machine. So my Rudolph is going to go up here. And R-U-D-O-L-P-H. So you can see that none of those letters were repeated. So I want to show this for a reason. It's hard sometimes when you have an alpha and you don't know which way it's supposed to go. So sometimes what I have to do is I have to look at my actual die, and I have to say, okay, which way is that supposed to do? Okay, so that loop is supposed to be down on the bottom and to the left. So then it's supposed to go this way, because sometimes you frankly can't tell with a font which way it's supposed to go. So this is why I like this die. One pass through, and there's my whole title, Rudolph. Love that. And so, of course, my title is going to go up to the top here, and it will fit in here somewhere. That's the plan. And again, we're just building this page. Everything's subject to change. So Rudolph, Is That You? And of course I have my small alpha, Is That You? And I have it on wax paper. So that is going to be my title. And what I can do sometimes if I'm looking for placement and I'm not sure how things are going to go, I will trim things out of my wax paper just so I can see in a more visual way how it's going to look. Because sometimes when you put alphas down, those puppies are staying. And there's nothing worse than trying to rip up an alpha and then you rip the alpha. Okay, so Rudolph, Is That You? I'm going to put that somewhere like that. Okay, so now we're going to start building some more on this page. And I knew that I wanted something here and here for a base. So in my Kit Krunch Kit, I had one of these. And so I'm going to simply cut this in half. And that way I can use this And this is just a die cut. I actually bought a pack of these in a stationery store. So I'm going to put one up here. And of course, see, I'm going to have to move Rudolph already. And I'm going to put one down here. That's the plan. And sometimes you have to trim things. And I really like at the bottom of this page, it says Official Christmas Village Post. This was a very pretty paper. And I know a lot of people have this because it is in our stash and we've never used it. But I love this. Kris Kringle Santa Claus. And then it has contact information, Christmas Village, North Pole. Just love all of that. So here is Rudolph. And I will just put all of that in a bundle. That's where my title is. So there's my title. I'm starting with my very bases. And so then what am I going to do next? Well, I'm now going to think about where my journaling is going to go and some clusters. And so, of course, I could have put the title there. I could have put Rudolph. But I think I'll put it up here. And plus, this background has lines. So that makes it easy to do a title. And so then, of course, I have these punches. Now, I'm going to have to go ahead and decide if I am going to use this snowflake border because I need to get this in line before I start doing anything else as far as clusters. And so I have punched one out to save some time. So I'm going to probably put that right there at the bottom. And, of course, things will have to be shifted. But when you're building a page, this is why you don't adhere things down because you do need to build the page. So I definitely wanted to get that on there because how often do I play with this snowflake punch? A couple times a year. So I definitely wanted that on there. And then the other thing I have is these Simple Stories shapes from the die cut pack. And so I kind of wanted to build a little bit of a scene. And so I picked a few of these. And so this is what we're going to build. And so, of course, I did some of this before filming because we're all short on time right now. Yes, I didn't want this video to be an hour long as well. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is just play with some of these. And the ones I picked were the ones that I thought, well, that I know that my little one saw during this Christmas event in her hometown. And so, of course, Santa Claus was there, and there was lots of trucks and pine trees and all that. And then, of course, this Santa Claus says, "Have yourself a merry little Christmas." I'm going to cover that up, and it's going to say, "Here comes Santa Claus." So when you are playing with these die cuts, and I will tell you with Simple Stories, they're a nice weight. They're not flimsy, but they're not thick. They're nice. So what you can do is you can definitely cover things up, which I'm going to do there with Santa Claus. And then you also could cut them in half and stretch them. So don't be afraid to cut them up. They don't have to be used just like that. And then, of course, playing with more die cuts, I found one that says Sleigh Rides 50 cents. Well, you know that has to make this page. And then I found some turquoise snowflakes. So I thought, okay, well, I would put a snowflake here. And I'll put one up here, so now you can see where my visual triangle is going to be. Right there, and right there. And then, of course, with my wood veneer, I thought what I would do is put a wood veneer on each one of these snowflakes. And I liked how they had that brown imaging, kind of rustic looking. We are outside. We are talking about Rudolph. And so I like that. Now, I will have a couple lines of journaling. Where is that going to go? I don't know. I'm running out of room already, folks. I might have to plan that. And then in my kit, I did find this little tab that says fun. And I think I will just peek it in under there with that snowflake. That's a good base. And plus, I have the word fun. Why not? Because then I will have text in each one of my visual triangles. And this is what I mean. I have text here, and text there, even though that's a little bit. So what I could do is I could put my journaling on top of this music note. But it did say dashing through the snow. You know, how cute is that? Or I could come down here. And I'm only going to have a few lines. Or I could come up here and put my journaling. That's the plan. And of course, you know, I have to get the year on here. So that would probably be something I need to consider before too long. So I could put, where could I put the 19? I could put it in this down here. I could put it on top of this tree, or I could put it over here. We'll just put it there for now. We'll see if it stays there. And then I have the word unique because Rudolph truly is unique. And I could put that maybe down there. We'll see. So then the last thing I wanted to play with, a couple more things, is that I definitely wanted to play with this pine branch. So what I did was I took that Studio Calico, let me see if I can find it here. And all of these papers came from my kit. You can see them in the video. I took this Studio Calico vellum, and it's called a Candy Cane. And you can see I punched out some, and I'm going to play with them. I love the way they looked, and so it just added some texture. So I'm going to use these in my clusters somewhere. So I'm just going to tuck them, and then how will I adhere those, I'll tell you when I come back. So I just love how they look. First of all, they're in a candy cane stripe. You can't beat that. And then I also like that they have some texture because they are vellum, and then they are in that, what am I trying to say? Pine branch. I love that. I just love this. Of course, like I said, I could use this all year long. And I do use it all year long. I don't put it in with my seasonal punches. I just love how it looks. Looks like a holly bough, doesn't it? And so I will just tuck these underneath somewhere. And when I'm building a page, this is what I do. I do plan mostly everything. I like that. So then, of course, you can see these turquoise snowflakes. Visual triangle. Wood veneer. Visual triangle. Those birch pine branches. That's what we're going to call them. They make a visual triangle. And I could even double layer them. I have 2 on there, but I could put 3 in there. Oh, I like how that looks. Huh. Because I have enough. I did 9. So if I wanted to put 3 in each cluster. Oh, I really like that. I really do. I just love playing. I know we're all like that. So I would put them there. It doesn't mean they'll all go there, but it's the look. And then, of course, I have enamel dots. And so then I would play probably with, this was in my kit. I have some sequins in the kit too, but I just do not feel like dealing with sequins. You know they take a long time to dry. I will play with these green. Now you can see that this green is not exactly the same. I don't worry about that. I don't worry about that at all. So I'm going to just put a couple enamel dots here. And again, that's that representation. Oh, now see, those are really big. Those great big ones, you almost have to tuck them somewhere because you don't want to see the full thing. So I'll just put them there, and that's the representation I wanted to use that. And then the last thing is, as on my Christmas pages in 2019, what I wanted to start doing from here and on out is adding a cross to all my Christmas pages. The same thing I do with my Disney pages. I do a Mickey hat. I wanted to start adding a cross. So I've been kind of stockpiling these red crosses by Bella Boulevard, the little puffy hearts. And so I definitely want to put, oh, that would be good right there. I definitely want to put a red cross, kind of like Find the Hidden Mickey, Find the Hidden Cross. So that's what I've been doing on my Christmas pages. And so I will put that there. That is just pretty grand. I love that. I really, really do. So I definitely got in these punches that I wanted. I got 2 of those different punches in. I got some vellum, I got some die cuts, and I got some things that are personalized. And then I broke out that Echo Park alpha die, and when I come back showing the finished page, I would definitely tell you where that is, and I'm sure it's still available. But I love alpha dies, and so that's just something over time. When I buy alpha dies, I now tell myself I enjoy them more when it's just 1 run through, or even 2 if you need vowels, rather than each individual letter. So love that. Okay, so that is what this is going to look like. So come back and I will have everything in here down. It will pretty much look like that. And then we're going to talk about where Rudolph, where his debut was. Absolutely. Okay, so hold on. All right, so I'm back with my finished page, and all I simply did was adhere everything down, and I adhered my photos and papers using my ATG gun, and then also for my embellishments and wood veneer and things like that, even my alpha, I use my Scotch tacky glue. Love that stuff because it does dry clear. And then I did want to mention that this die is by Echo Park, and it is the Ava, AVA uppercase. Really love that die. It's still available. You're able to get that. And it's a great price too. So you can see that everything landed exactly what I talked about in the previous segment. But I did want to go over something as far as clusters, because I get a lot of questions about that. And it's been a topic of discussion among my subscribers lately. So I thought I would talk about that. And then where will my journaling go? It could go here. It could go here, and I don't think I'm going to put it here because then I pretty much will have covered up that entire red plaid. So it'll either go here or it will go down here on this white, or even over here. I only have a few lines, but I did get the year on there at 2019. So I really love this page. I really do. I can't wait for my little one to see it. And of course, I love the title, Rudolph, Is That You? So let's talk about the visual triangles, and then what I used for my visual triangles, because I did it the easy way this time, and I'll talk more about that. So the fact that I have 3 embellishment clusters, that in and of itself makes one big visual triangle. Easy to do. So you can see that this is bigger, then this gets smaller, and then that's even smaller. So this would be the 75%, this would be a 50%, and this would be a 25%. And I talked more about that in a visual, it's a visual triangle clustering 101 video. I will have that linked below. We talk about this entire topic just in that video. So it's a long one, but it's worth watching because you can see more clustering. So then what I did is I have a visual triangle of colors. So let's talk about that. So I have a visual triangle in green, and then I have a visual triangle in red, of course, and then I have a visual triangle in brown, and then I have a visual triangle in, what other color? Turquoise. So when you're playing with clusters and visual triangles, you can simply use color to get in that representation of that visual triangle. But then also you can use elements or embellishments to create that visual triangle. And in this case, notice that I have a turquoise snowflake in each one. So that makes a visual triangle. And so then of course my enamel dots make a visual triangle. And then of course, what else do we have? We have those pine branches that I'm obsessed with. They make a visual triangle. And then of course the wood veneer. So all of those elements make a visual triangle. And the reason I wanted to point that out is because a question I get asked a lot is that people don't know what to use in a visual triangle, what to use. And so I wanted to show this because I did this in such an easy manner that I used the same thing in my visual triangles. I use the turquoise snowflakes. I used wood veneer. I used that Martha Stewart pine branch and enamel dots. So I used the same thing. It's just I may have used them a smaller number, but then a smaller size. So remember, if you don't know what to do, look at what you've already done. So if you put a turquoise snowflake here, put one there and put one there. Just maybe make this one your biggest one, and this next size and the next size. And for enamel dots, maybe use your big one, your big enamel dots in your bigger cluster, and use small enamel dots in your smaller ones, or you can mix it up. So I wanted to definitely talk about that. So of course you can see the different sizes, and then what did I have for cluster bases, because that's how you start a cluster. So in here I used die cuts, down here I used this, what I already had on here is this border strip, and then over here I just used a tab. So as far as my clusters, I used a different way to start that. This was a scene. I had just put this over top of the border that I used a Martha Stewart punch, and then up here I used that tab as the start of that cluster. So something different. So, but when it comes to visual triangles and clusters, there's nothing wrong with using the same thing and using them in the same clusters and to make that visual triangle. But then also too, when you branch out a little bit, get it, branch out, is that then you can start using items within your visual triangle to make a visual triangle. So here, these 3 enamel dots, they make a visual triangle. And then right here, these enamel dots, these 3 make a visual triangle. And this element right here, the cross, that little enamel dot and that die cut right there is a visual triangle. So you can do a visual triangle within a visual triangle within a visual triangle. Yes, and so that's just taking it one step at a time. So with starting clusters, just do something in 3 areas. And then the next step you could do is make them in different sizes. And then the next step is using different elements in those visual triangles. I hope that wasn't too much talking, but I love creating visual triangles. That is the play part for me. So, all right, since my layout is about Rudolph and reindeer, and my title is Rudolph, Is That You?, I wanted to give a little tidbit about Rudolph and where he got his debut. Absolutely. So, back in the day, Rudolph got his debut at Montgomery Ward. Do you remember that store? So it says here in this book, the story of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is as magical as Christmas itself. Did you know that Rudolph began his career at Montgomery Ward? It's true. The year was 1939, and Montgomery Ward advertising copywriter Robert L. May was hard at work on a new Christmas idea for children. Then one day he thought to himself, what about a reindeer with a shiny red nose who helps Santa deliver presents on Christmas Eve? It was as simple as that. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was born. So Montgomery Ward was just the beginning for Rudolph. From there, he achieved even greater fame. Singer and cowboy movie star Gene Autry immortalized him in a song in 1949. And in 1964, Rudolph starred in his very own television program, now a classic at Christmas and a favorite of children of all ages. So who knew that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, his debut was from Montgomery Ward by copywriter Robert L. May. So now you know the rest of the story. So I got this years and years ago. You can tell it's banged up. It was something that was reprinted, and I've kept it, and I pull it out every Christmas. So I thought it would be perfect to share in this story that I recorded about Rudolph. Absolutely. I hope you enjoyed that. So now you know where Rudolph started and who started it. It started from a copywriter in a department store. Interesting. So I definitely want to thank all the girls in the YouTube Hop for the monthly celebrations for playing along this month, as well as the whole year, because it just was enjoyable. So hit that show more button and look below, and definitely subscribe to their channels and take part in what they're celebrating for the month of December. So that will wrap up this month for monthly celebrations and for the entire year for 2019. We have a lot of things coming ahead, so definitely stay tuned, and close-ups will follow. And come back to RTS, because you never know what we're gonna do. Bye.